Oh, man. Hello, world. What's up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guests have been playing music together over nearly 2 decades, crafting a sound that, under cover of metal, punk, alternative, shoegaze, and more, has redefined the term dub. Their 5th and latest album, The Shape of Dub to Come, flawlessly navigates multiple genres and vibes, spanning the entire spectrum from like super heavy, sludgy metal riffs to atmospheric, electric compositions. I really dug this record. I think there's a lot here to love, folks. Dub Trio is in the building. How we feel about that? Are you excited at home? I'm excited. You guys? Make them feel at home. Gentlemen, congratulations. I said it back there. I'm going to say it out here again. I love this record. You guys should be very, very proud. Congrats on this thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for being here and hanging out with us, man. You guys just had a gig at St. Vitus last night. Is that right?
We did.
How'd that go?
Very successful.
Yeah.
Very successful. It's been a long time. It's been probably about, I'd say about 4 years. Is that right? Since we played New York?
2015,
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a long time coming. And a lot of friends, a lot of people involved in making this new album were there. Fans. It felt really good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So one of those things where it's been 4 years, but it feels like yesterday? Or did it feel like 4 years when you got there last night?
Kind of more like yesterday.
More like yesterday, right?
Yeah. We always seem to be able to just pick up right where we left off. I mean, with the music at least and whatnot.
One of the things everybody looks at, they look at the discography, they go, 8 years, why has it taken 8 years for us to get this wonderful record? And you guys, I was amazed reading through some of the interviews and stuff, there's a lot of ideas that you've had that you've been sitting on for a little while, stuff that you worked on. I think the track, and I could be wrong, keep me honest, with Troy, you had for a little while, I think I read like 2 years ago or something like that, or...
Well, the one we did with Michelle Nigeo we've had for a while. She released an album, not her last record, but one before the last. And we did a remix for that, and that is the same track, so we put it on our album. And,
that was 2014.
Was that 2014?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, there we go. So what is it about this time right now that everything's coalesced and come together and it's the right time?
Well, it was a natural progression, I suppose. We moved to different cities. I just left Greenpoint about 2 months ago and moved to LA. Joe moved to Cleveland about 5 years ago, and as well as Dave down to Charlotte. And I guess just by proximity, it was a little more difficult to collaborate. But we did like 5 records, I think, with 2-year cycles, and it just, I guess, yeah, you know, it wasn't that we needed a break, but it was just, we toured the record for about 3 years, the last record, and then slowly started writing, and the first song that we completed was with Troy.
So that was the first, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading too that you were kind of working and collaborating digitally, sort of recording ideas and sending them around and stuff like that. Did you guys have rules in place of like if you get a track, you've got to add something to it just to keep the ball moving, or were you like constantly following? Hey man, I sent you that track. Did you get to it yet? Like how did that process work after you've played together in the same room for so many years and now you've got to work across the country?
Well, what we kind of did was like worked a little bit at home, maybe individually, but it never really becomes a dub trio song until we all get into the same room together and like put all our ideas in and make the changes that we need to make, you know.
Were you each pitching like song skeletons, like ideas? Was it like kind of coming from every guy in the group, or was somebody always kind of leading the charge starting and then like it would make its way around?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was more like a pitch, but it was, we would just kind of collaborate on a couple songs and then see like how it shaped up and if it fit the mold, you know. Yeah.
When you guys finally got back together and got into the same room to play all the same songs, I had seen that it was like, within 2 weeks. We played them for a couple of days, and within 2 weeks, we like had them polished, and we were hitting record, and we knocked out the record. Is that true?
It was actually 3 days.
Whoa.
So we
Wow.
we booked the time in the studio, and we did reserve 3 days to rehearse and prep for it.
That's amazing. 3 days, and you had everything. How many tracks total? Did every one of them make it on the record, or there's some that you kind of pulled out of the pile and you refined it?
No, they all made it on the record. I mean, this is the first time that we've ever done an album where there was actually demos.
Yeah.
Usually it's just like we get in a room, mainly because we all lived here at that point, and we would just write a record, come with riffs or whatever, song ideas, skeletons. But this is the first time that we had demos. So had the demos, completed that idea, and then got in the room for 3 days, small little practice room without any of the extraneous bits and bobs, and just played just our instruments, guitar, bass, drums. And then went into the studio and tracked and mixed within about 10 days. Did the whole record in 10 days.
That's amazing, man. Is that typical for you guys? Like your previous
Yes.
records, would you knock them out that fast as well?
Even faster.
Even faster.
Yes.
So that's the slow version, is the 10-day record. That's pretty amazing. Is Joel a part of that process from the very beginning? Is he there for the first 3 days as well, or do you bring him in after you guys have polished?
After. Yeah.
He might hear the demos
Well, yeah,
or
sure.
hear, like, we'll have a pre-production meeting, and he'll know what he's getting into just because he's done all the albums, but he wasn't there for just playing and learning the muscle memory, the parts, hashing out the existing parts, but he's there from the beginning no matter what.
Yeah. Wasn't even a question that you were going to work with Joel again,
No,
right? Like he's
he's
the guy.
just-
He gets you guys.
Yeah, he's that honorary 4th studio member of Dub Trio, for sure.
What does Joel bring to the table for you guys in terms of creative process? If the songs are in a somewhat finished state for him, what happens when Joel comes into the room?
Well, Joel's sort of always been a co-producer. His background facilitates, what we're going for aesthetically. He's got a wide variety of timbres to choose from at his studio. He's coming from a heavy background, but he's also done so much different stuff musically that he is quick to get what we're going for and can get the sound that we want. And so, not just having the studio, having the sounds, having the instruments, but he's heard it from day one, from the first record, 2004. So it's not even a question of like, oh, we're going for this, or he'll hear the demos, or he'll hear us tracking. So when it comes time to mix, it's instantaneous. We don't need to sit there and be like, oh, that's kind of it, but like, no time wasted.
How many typical? I mean, this is a pretty. I don't know if this is an easy question to answer, but how many like back and forths? How many drafts of a mix do you guys go through before you land on the final one? At this point, you've been with him for all these years, so like 2 files maybe. Like how many? Is it a lot of notes? It's not a lot of notes. Like.
Not really too
No.
many notes at all. Yeah.
No, you get pretty close in the first swing, right?
Yeah. We can sort of collaborate in the mix as well because we want to take part in the dubbing process. Usually we do the dubbing live, right? But in the
Yeah.
studio, we want to take advantage of the outboard gear and what he has to offer there. So he allows us to attend a mix, which is, it's not always a normal thing, really. So if there's a revision, it's usually like an agreed upon thing, like after like taking it home for a first listen, but usually not,
And I imagine when he's doing the dubbing, he's playing off of what he's heard you guys play live, right? He's heard the demos, and he's like, all right, they're going for this sound. Let me see if I can push it a little further this way, right? Because I believe my understanding is you guys will include like dub sections where you can sort of have improvisational like pieces over that section when you play it live. So like when you get that down, you have to commit to that, and you have to decide this is the definitive version of this section. One, that's got to be an interesting process, and two, I guess he takes that demo and kind of helps you push it. Like,
I feel like as far as the dubbing goes, the actual mix process, we sort of do that. We know where the parts are because we approach it as the way the Jamaican traditional reggae dub did, whereas we play it sort of through composed, without sort of breaks, but with the idea of having the content to choose what we want to take to dub or to affect, to drop out, to bring in a certain point. So Joel sort of gives us the freedom to look at the mix, look at the tracks themselves, and then we sort of shape it of what we want to do with effects, with dropouts, and then he'll do the finite sort of little, picking what to do with EQ or levels. So it's pretty hands-on, all three of us. He's doing the mix, but we shape the composition.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are those tough decisions to make if you have a track that you guys have? I mean, I guess not if it takes you 10 days, but if you guys have a track that you've played live a bunch of times and you enjoy that part of improvising and having a conversation sonically, and now you have to decide what the definitive version of that conversation is. Have you ever struggled with that part of the process?
That's a good question. I think like going from live and then applying the same technique in the studio was a little bit of a challenge at first, you know, to maintain the same energy that we capture live, because it's spontaneous live, you know, when we're improvising and communicating with a dialogue that's with, you know, our own language. But, and then it's a little different going in the studio because it's in post for the most part. But we'll kind of, like Joe said, like set it up in a way that preps us for something that will be cool, you know, that there's some good positive aspects to doing it, and there's some maybe drawbacks. It's just different,
Yeah,
you know?
it's just different. Yeah.
And that's just a moment that's what it is that time, you know? You know?
That's that version. That is
Yeah.
that. Yeah. When it comes to like specifically the songwriting for this record and the process through which you guys went, you know, I said in the intro, there's like these super heavy, super sludgy metal riffs, and you know, not so much of like the speedier metal or punky stuff that you guys have done in the past. Was that organically found, or was there like a decision of like, let's try to slow things down because it works really well with the dub? I think I want to say like on Spider, especially, there's like it just kind of blends. Almost more seamlessly than you guys have ever done before, and it's a really cool moment. And I'm like, I wonder if they found that, or if they said we've got to try it this way, and just how you arrived there.
Everything we've ever done has always been organic. You know, we've never, like one of our initial things in the beginning was like have no genre, no boundaries. We can do whatever we want. So like any song we write just comes naturally and. You know, with no preconceived notions.
Right, and to your point is that it's kind of we sort of discovered that the sludgier stuff actually allows more space for like the dub to live, you know. Where the speedier stuff, maybe it's a little too busy to add more on top. You know, maybe reverb works, but like the delay effects don't really work on that because there's so much already going on, you know.
That's something I was always curious about too. Like you guys you're known for finding ways to sort of seamlessly meld these different worlds of music. And I'm like, is there ever a type of music or a genre of music you've tried to apply dub to and it just didn't work? And you're like, well, we gave it a shot. Like, does it usually work out? You find a way. Like,
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes sense. Right.
Because it's a
It seems to be
process.
working what you're doing. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there are genres we haven't tried yet, but it hasn't. We haven't failed yet with
Fair
the ones
enough.
we have tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got more vocalists, I think. I'm almost positive appear on this track on tracks on this record than in the past. Like you've done tracks with vocalists before, but like this one in particular, we've got at least those three, right? And you were saying the track with Troy was one of the first ones, if not the first one that you
Yep.
wrote. Did you know when you wrote that track this has to have vocals on it? Like was Troy a part of that from the beginning, or did that start its life as an instrumental and then get added? What's the story behind
We
this
sent
song?
him a few.
Started as an instrumental though.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it started in my apartment and then sending it around back and forth and stuff. And then it just kind of worked out naturally that song, he ended up liking that song or chose that song, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we sent him 3, and then with Buzzo, we had finished in the studio like mixing the World of Inconvenience instrumental, and that was going to live on the record as an instrumental. And but we were like, why don't we give Buzzo a try? And because we had some friends in common, and pestered him quite a bit, and he did it. Yeah, he did it really quickly. And
That's amazing.
totally.
Do you guys, when you have a guest artist and you're collaborating in that way, how much do you get involved? How much do you stay away? Are you giving Buzzo notes? Like, how does it work?
No, I like giving them total freedom, right?
Yeah,
You know.
no, I concur. It's important that the people that we ask to do it, you know, I feel like sort of like we believe would get what we're going for. So we just let them have complete freedom artistically to like do what they do, and then when we get it back, you know, we also have the freedom to dub it, mix it in a way, try to keep what they've done, but you know, we want to add some effects or drop it in and out or do something creative with the mix. That's inherent in it too. But yeah, we don't give any notes or anything like that.
Transitioning this thing from the record onto the stage, a lot of bands, that's a difficult process to take whatever they've managed to create in the studio and bring it live. But for some reason, I feel like you guys might have a little bit of an easier time with that because you were sort of born in a live environment of bringing these sounds together live. What is that process like for you guys? Once you've locked the record, once you know how that record sounds, getting it to sound the way you want it to live, what's that process like?
Well, I don't know. I feel like sticking true to the dub genre, every performance that we do of a song is going to be a different version. You know, there'll be different, even though the inherent like form of the tune, it's got the the intro and the verse and the chorus or what have you. All the shape of how long there's open sections, so we're still mixing effects differently. Listening for cues, some audio, some visual cues. So it's a different version every night. So it's not like we're married to, we have to do that one thing that happened at the end of the verse or, so there's a lot of freedom in the music for us to keep it fresh night to night.
Do you ever discover something, not like in the sense of we got to recreate that moment, but do you ever find something when you're recording it in the studio when you go, I really like that, I got to remember to do that when we do it live? Like you find something along the way?
Yeah, and I think that takes shape too as we perform the songs live. Like I know, for instance, on World of Inconvenience, there's one little riff that happens with Stu and I that we do sort of at a turnaround in the verses that we've been doing. And it's not even something we speak about. It's all oral. It's just like I hear him doing the little turnaround and I do the little turnaround that we did on the record. Not a lot of like talk goes into what we should or shouldn't do with this band. It never has. It's just it all comes to just hanging out and playing so many gigs and shows together.
Which is incredibly badass. Does that mean till this moment, you've never talked about that little turnaround? Or have, like you said, you don't really talk about it?
There was one moment.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's one moment where when I did that in the studio, I was like, "Do you like that?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And
Done.
I was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool."
There we go.
Now I do it all the time.
Decision made. That's pretty
And I
cool.
do it too.
all the time.
Yeah.
kidding.
One of you guys have been playing together for so long, man. I love it. I love the you are speaking your own language. You're connected on a level where it's just like you're made to collaborate together. And you give us amazing records like this, dude. Congratulations again. Real quick, before we go to audience Q&A, because we got a couple of questions out there. Where are you playing next? Where can people see you? Where do they go to get tickets to see you live? Because that's what they need to do.
We're playing Asbury Park tomorrow, Burlington, Vermont the following day, and then a festival upstate called Fly Day.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I saw in the fall, was this just recently announced? You're going to be playing a couple of shows with Incubus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
about
over
2
on the
weeks.
West Coast.
About 2 weeks, and then we follow up. We do a couple of headlining shows in September, and then we go to Europe for the rest of the fall.
That's badass. That's a hell of a place to be in the fall, man.
Yeah.
Are you guys already sending around ideas for the next record, or are you just focused on live right now?
Concepts, yeah.
Yeah, concepts. Very
Totally.
cool. Sweet. Casey, how many I got in the room? I got 2. Let me get the first one. Microphone. There you are. Go for it.
Hi, so this is a question for all of you guys. I was just wondering, what was the first song that you've ever written outside of the band, and did you ever do anything with it?
Well,
First, like previous to the band, or
Yeah.
yeah, well, Dave and I started playing together in '97. We were in a band called Actual Proof.
Yep.
So what did we do with it? We moved to New York and we tried to get a record deal,
tried to make it big.
and we found Joe along the way
Yeah.
in 2000. And yeah, so
I think I wrote my first song when I was like 12 or before that or whatever in Canada, and played it live.
yeah, Dave was
Won some Battle of Bands.
yeah.
I don't think I wrote my first song until I was probably 20 years old, 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've written
too.
parts, but actually a complete song. Yeah.
Was it Bubbles in the Tub?
Well, I guess I did the remix. I take that back. No, I wrote songs earlier than that.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Thank you for your question. I got one more. Let's do one more question. Come on down.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So we have a question from our site, buildseries.com, and it's what was your favorite song to record on the album, and which songs are you excited to play live?
As far as excited to play live, Needles is quite fun and challenging. Not challenging, but just like trying to create the same emotion that comes through on the record.
You know, my favorite is Computery, I think, when we were putting that together.
The recording of it, yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
It's different from any song that we've ever done,
Yeah, for sure.
for real.
I like playing World of Inconvenience live, like having the, because we're actually triggering the vocals of Buzzo.
No shit, really?
Yeah, we're using basically samples and just playing the tracks of his vocal live.
Who's doing the triggering? Is it one of you guys, or is it happening off stage?
Yeah, I'm just playing them on pads, like
got 'em on pads.
vocal, in the verse, and then vocal at the dropout, and vocal in the, and we could dub it out too, if we so feel.
You ever done that before? You ever
We've
take
done some
vocals and
stuff with
sample them live
the
like that?
Patton track, Mike Patton song we did called "No Flag" on Another Sound Is Dying. We did, right?
Yeah.
We did that live with some samples.
And you guys, do you have in your pedals? Do you have control over certain dub effects on his kit? Did I see that right? Like, so you're all essentially playing the music. Like you're all doing your individual instruments, but the entire sound, the entirety of that piece exists because you're all like this one,
Right.
like symbiotic thing that's happening in that moment. That's
Yes.
right. Is that
we
how it
sort
works?
of manipulate each other, yeah.
That's freaking. Do you ever mess with one another? Do you like? I'm gonna put a dub, like in rehearsal, just to have a little bit of fun. Just I'm gonna try to throw him off. Put dub here where he doesn't expect it. I'm gonna dub this out when he doesn't think it's gonna be dubbed out. Like, you ever do that? See if he notices. Keep him on his toes. Like,
Anything goes. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
if not, it's a missed opportunity. You need to start
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Start fucking with each other. Just
Well, it would be funny if we could mute one another,
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah.
but that's not possible
Yet.
yet. Yeah.
Well, everybody, if you haven't already, pick up this album, listen to this album, check it out right now. The Shape of Dub to Come from Dub Trio. Hit up their site and find tickets to go see them live. Keep an eye out for their shows in the fall on the West Coast and also in the UK. Everybody do me a favor here and make a ridiculous amount of noise. Join me in thanking Dub Trio for being here.